guys, it's Mrs. Stickler. I'm going to walk you through your homework today, and I just wanted to kind of make sure that we had talked about this because we were having so much fun playing that game that I forgot to kind of talk about your homework. So I wanted to take just a few minutes and really talk about it with you so you could really understand what it is you're finding. Now, first of all, we have this sphere, okay? So to find surface area and volumes of spheres, what do we have to do? So first of all, find your sphere formula on your formula sheet. It's right here. Okay? Notice that if I want to find volume, and so down here to see this word volume, I'm going to go ahead and write volume down here. I'm going to go ahead and write the formula for volume right on the sheet, and the formula is 4/3 pi r cubed. So that's what I'm going to put here so I don't forget. And that's the volume of a sphere. Now up here you'll see that they've given you the surface area for a cube, 4 pi r squared. Now in this case they wanted to find something different, but to find the surface area it is 4 pi r squared. They're walking you through how to use the equation, and I didn't want to confuse you by doing that. So up here on the top I wrote the surface area formula for how to find the sphere. So as we go through this, notice that the only thing I need is the radius, because everything else is part of the problem. Well, they've given me the radius here. So I'm just going to write the equation. And then we have surface area equals, my r is 6, so I'm going to have 4 times 6 squared pi, which gives me, I'm going to leave my answers and turn it to pi. Now it's area again, so remember our units are going to be squared. But what is 4 times 6 squared? Well, I know 6 squared is 36, but I don't know what 4 times 36 is. Here, I'll even do this for those of you that are like, where'd you get 36? 6 squared is 36, and that is 144. So 144 pi feet squared. That is your answer to this problem, number 1. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Now don't forget your pi is part of the answer, and notice up here they want it left in terms of pi. So that's important to keep in mind. Down here it's the same thing. They want us to find the surface area of each sphere. They are giving me the radius again. So all I'm going to do is go back up, think about your equation. Surface area equals 4 pi, well there's my radius, 3 squared. And you're just going to plug the 4 times, what is 3 squared? So the surface area equals 4 times 9 pi, which equals 4 times 9 is 36. So this is 36 pi, and my units is centimeters, and we're finding area, so my units are squared. I think you can do all of those there. Now this is where it starts to get a little tricky. Notice they're not giving me the radius here. They're giving me a circumference. So I have to find the radius before I can even calculate. So they give me the circumference of the baseball in this case. So on your equation, remember, how do I find circumference? Circumference equals 2 pi r. So I can say 9.25 equals 2 pi r. So how do I get r by itself? Now in this case I'm going to go ahead and round my way through this equation. But let's find out what we do first. I'm going to divide by 2 and divide by pi. But we're going to do it one step at a time, just so we make sure that we don't get all confused, because some of you get confused when I do too many steps at once. So 9.25 divided by 2 is, now I'm not going to be able to do 11 on this same sheet, so hopefully one of these problems will be sufficient for you. We know this will be 4.625 equals pi r, because 2 over 2 equals 1. and then we did the math here. Now I'm going to divide by pi. Now all you do is you hit divide, and it's going to take the last answer. This is what is ANS, divided by pi. And that gives me 1 point, so my radius equals 1.472. And I'm just going to go to that. There's a 1, and that's not going to change my answer. So now I can go to my sphere equation, which to find, they want me to find the surface area again. Surface area equals 4 pi r squared. For, what did they tell you your radius was? 1.472 when we found that out. And then it's going to be pi. So I'm not going to delete that answer. I'm just going to use it again. Well, actually, I probably will, just so we don't get confused. 4 times, and notice that this has to be squared. I forgot to write that in there. And I'm going to put parentheses, 1.472 squared. You didn't have to put the parentheses. I'm a parenthesis junkie. Hit enter. And that means that the surface area is 8.667 pi. And what is it? It's in inches squared. Now, is that in terms of pi? Yes, it is. But notice they want you to round your answer to the nearest tenth. So they don't want this in terms of pi. So I have to finish multiplying it through. So I'm going to hit times, and then I'm going to push pi. Notice we have 27.2286, and they want it rounded to the nearest tenth. So that's this 2 right here. I look just to the right, I have another 2. That 2 is not a 5 or more, so my answer is going to be 27.2 inches squared. And that is your answer. Okay? Hopefully, and you're going to do, it's a 2-step problem, and you're going to come up with all of your answers just that exact same way. Now we're down to volume. The volume of a cube, of a sphere, this is my formula. So when I do the volume, I just need my radius. So 4/3 pi, what's your radius? Right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and in parentheses, I'm going to type 4 divided by 3, close my parentheses. And now I'm going to type in 6, go up to math, and hit the 3. If you prefer, you could do caret 3, and that means it's raising it to the 3rd power, and hit enter. And I know that the volume of this sphere is 288 pi. Now, they want it in both ways. They want in terms of pi and rounded to the nearest cubic unit. So we're going to have to give them this, and it's in millimeters cubed, but they also want me to give them the other answer. So I just take 288 and I multiply it times pi, and I get 904 point, well, they want it to the unit. So I look at the 4, and I look just to the right, that's a 7, so it's going to increase me 1. So 905 millimeters cubed. And that is my answer. And that's what you're going to do for number 14 as well. And now we have one more problem down here, and this is a composite. So you've got to find, what do they want to know? A spherical scoop of ice cream with a diameter of 4 centimeters rests on top of a sugar cone that is 12 centimeters deep and the diameter of 5 centimeters. If all the ice cream melts into the cone, what percent of the cone will be filled? This is quite a problem, but we got to start by finding what the volume is of each object. So let's find the volume of our ice cream. So how do I find volume again of a sphere? 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay? How do I find the volume of a sphere? If you can't remember, it's right here on your formula sheet. 1/3 pi r squared h. So the volume of the cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. So let's plug in our answer for both. What is my radius in both of these? Well, my radius is 5. I think it says the diameter is 5. So the radius is going to be this much, which is half of 5, which is 2.5 centimeters. So I'm going to plug that into both of these. Now you might be saying, Ms. Stickler, you're doing 2 problems at once. Well, yeah, I'm just going to put this much here. We'll come back to that one in a second. Let's finish up this volume first. So, what am I going to multiply? Well, let's go ahead and just multiply the numbers. I always like to put my fractions in parentheses unless I know the decimal equivalent. So that's 4/3. And I'm going to multiply that times, and I forgot I've got to cube that, right? Times 2.5 raised to the 3rd power. And that equals, the volume is 20.83 pi. Now, I probably am going to get a pi in this answer too, so I think that's what I want to do. I want to leave pi as part of the answer. And now we can come over here. We have what the volume is of the ice cream. Now we're going to find the volume, and I'll write that on here so we know. This is ice cream, and this is the cone. Okay? How do I find the volume of the cone? How much ice cream is that cone going to hold? So what I do is I take, once again, 1 divided by 3, put that in your calculator, and then you're going to multiply that by 2, and I'll put the multiplication sign in, 2.5, and this answer is squared. What do we get? 2.08. Oh, and we didn't do the height. Huh, I forgot that. That can't be right. We forgot this h, didn't we? How tall is the ice cream cone? 12. So I'm going to clear this and we'll put that whole thing in again. 1/3 times 2.5 squared times 12. So my volume of my cone is 25 pi. Now it is also in centimeters. So that's centimeters squared, cubed, because volume is cubed. Now it wants to know what percent of the cone will be filled. Well, first of all, you'll see all of the ice cream is going to fit inside the cone because this is smaller. The ice cream is smaller than the cone. So we aren't going to fill the cone to 100%. How do I figure out percent? You take the part and you divide it by the whole. So we take 20.83 pi and divide it by 25 pi. That's going to give you the percent. And I am going to put in the pi here. So 20.83 times pi. And maybe we should put parentheses around this because there's multiplication going on, just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to insert a space and put a parenthesis. And those of you that don't know what I did, if I hit the second key in this INS, it means it's going to put a space in and it allows me to fix it. So I'm going to put the other parenthesis in, and then I'm going to divide it by, parentheses again, 25 pi, close. And what do we get? So we have 0.8332. How much is that in percent? How do I transfer to a percent? Remember, you move your decimal 2 places. And they want to know to the whole number. So I'm going to move it 2 places. Look just to the right here, it's a 3.